Things have devolved to a point now that films are becoming very generic, and I think there's still a lot of originality out there that you can put a spin on an old kind of story and tell it in a new way. And we want to tell stories that have a horror element to it, but also get to other issues like abandonment and like things that went wrong in childhood and things like that. My name's Wesley Skelly, and I've lived in Portsmouth all my life. I've loved films since I, before I could walk. My favourite film of all time is Jaws. That's a film I grew up literally being brought up by those three guys on the boat. I had no dad growing up, so as much as I had my uncles around and people like that, those three characters, Quint, Brody and Hooper, were surrogate fathers to me. A lot of what I tried to do with everything I've ever told is subvert whatever the normal telling of a story is, because as much as it's easy to just do the opposite of what an ending would be, I find it more interesting if you go with something that isn't expected. So with Footsteps, you've got this guy that's trying to get to his girlfriend that he's constantly arguing with. He's travelling through the city. All these obstacles are in his way, but actually the biggest obstacle lurks within himself. We, the audience, see what he thinks is the perfect rosy world that he's in, but actually that whole night that we've just watched is his bubble-wrapped version of what's really happened. We see a story completely non-linear, and then what the ending is the beginning. We want to also give a sort of feeling and a message to people. Well, beside the Seaside, as I say, it's 10 years old this summer. Literally 10 years ago, we were making this film on a very, very small camera. We didn't have any sound equipment, any professional actors, let alone amateur actors, no effects, but we managed to pull it together. And really, Beside the Seaside is a film that the concept's good enough to give people the hook to want to watch it, a seaside set slasher in Britain, but then you can put all these other things on top of it to make a story that's actually worth seeing. Beside the Seaside can give you that little bit of a hook because everyone in Britain can relate to that, and then people around the world can relate to going to the beach as a kid and enjoying carnival rides and different things like that. But now, what I've done about 3 years ago, I've decided to re-edit it and make it into a lost VHS as such. So it's a cover I knocked up for the film, and then an artist called Carol in Kent did her own representation of it. Within the last 10 years, I've always had it in the back of my mind that I want to redo it, do it bigger, do it better, actually tell a decent story around the gore scenes and stuff. It would be the kind of film like This Is England '86 that's set in the 80s, because my fondest memories of our fair in Clarence Pier was when there was the ghost train there, and there were certain rides that obviously aren't there anymore that have a certain feel to them in my memory, and that's what I'd like to be able to have people feel alongside the story being told as well. So I want it to be a very beautiful looking film at the same time as having a very nasty story going on. Yeah, I definitely want to show our city's coastline in its nicest light, but at the same time show the seedy underbelly of what goes with that. Because a lot of what the story is about is that you've got people from outside coming into a very local community, and they have no respect for it. At different points in the film there are video noise and damage that sort of break up some of the gorier scenes, because people would re-watch those scenes and pause them when they were, out on video. So it's to show that the tape is worn. The film that I'm hoping to, give a bigger life to, Beside the Seaside. One, the seaside setting for a slasher film I think is quite unique. I also want to be able to tell a story that is first and foremost about somebody that's dealing with loss and something that happened in their youth, revisiting their hometown with friends, and then below that is a romance that happens, a summer romance story, and then below that is actually the slasher films. Let's really embellish on the seaside culture that Britain has. Let's rekindle some of that love for the seaside, but also tell a story. Here is a film made in Portsmouth by local filmmakers that has the potential to go global.